Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining me here today for the first of what we hope will be many Throwback Thursdays here on the Casa D18 Studios channel. Over the coming weeks, months, and even years, we look to try to present to you some classic episodes from yesteryear from the NoDQ YouTube channel, the Jeff Meacham Network, the Casa D18 Studios, Simple Man Studios, and J. Hebert 95 Studios. You're going to be able to see classic episodes of things like Talk Wrestling, Stat Boy Rants, Dads on Wrestling, NoDQ&AV, Indy Force Podcast, the Renegade of Wrestling, Double Down with Double A, and so much more. So, with that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy today's offerings from the Casa D18 Studios channel, NoDQ, the Jeff Meacham Network, as we present our first classic Throwback Thursday.
Now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
the Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from the Jeff Meacham Network.
Good afternoon, happy Thursday, or good evening if you're on the East Coast, and more power to you because I love the New York area. I love the East Coast. I even like New England today. That's how good I'm feeling today. Welcome to this very special broadcast here on the Jeff Meacham Network. I am, of course, Jeff Meacham, and you already know that because you're on the Jeff Meacham Network and you're watching a very, very classic, if you will, episode of my podcasting history. Now, it's not really a podcast because it's video too, but we'll go with the word podcast. And there's my girl, Bailey's here. That makes my day because it's been a shitty day. So I'm just gonna roll with it. I'm gonna wait a few minutes to actually start the picture-in-picture, if you will, because I want to give people a chance to come in. I also want to kind of banter a little bit about this. It's very surreal to me that it's been 13 years this day that Talk Wrestling first went across your computer screens or your device screens back. I don't know what YouTube was using. I don't know I don't remember what smartphones or, what kind of device people were using back then. So I appreciate however you watched Talk Wrestling back in 2007, if you did. And if you didn't see Talk Wrestling back in 2007, I must warn you that 2007 Jeff Meacham is kind of a dick. I'm going to be honest with you. He was in a very bad place when he taped this episode. Let me just come right off the top and say that this was really, really fresh off the Chris Benoit tragedy. As I'm sure you guys are aware, that's how the Talk Wrestling started. It was a very, very bad time in wrestling and in our lives as wrestling fans. It sucked. It absolutely fucking sucked to be a wrestling fan. We were looked down upon. We were cast aside like lepers. We were looked upon as lesser thans because what do you call it? I can't even talk. My brain is not working. Because we were fans of a community that allowed such barbaric and horrible things to happen. And I had been off for a year for the most part. We had finished up XMV in June of 2006. Josh and Lee and I carried the show home along with the girls, of course, doing their part, and Aaron, as only Aaron can, doing his part with NoDQ broadcasts. And I'd done a couple of like NoDQ TVs and a couple of Ringside Insanities with my girlfriend at the time, Jade. My fiance at the time. Actually, at the time this show goes on, in July of 2000, we're actually broken up. We are not together as a couple. And I mentioned her in the video, and if she's watching, I'm sorry. But it was a really shitty time, and I really didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to say it. I didn't know what I wanted to say about the thing with Chris Benoit and Nancy and Daniel, because I was so confused that something like this could happen. And then I had the opportunity to watch some of the media coverage, if you will. And quite frankly, it was disgusting to watch. Hang on one second. I am live on the air. I can't move. Sorry. It's like, I'm on the air. I told you I was going live today. Sorry. Anyway, I had the opportunity to see some of the media coverage that was being thrust upon the case, particularly by a lady by the name of Nancy Grace. And if you are familiar with news media at all, in back in 2007, Nancy Grace, I believe, was on CNN at the time. I don't remember now. I don't really care, to be honest with you. And she allowed people to come on her show, and other people in her realm of colleagues, people went on their shows and pretty much lambasted Vince and lambasted the WWE. And I really come down hard on Mark Merrill on this show. And I look back and regret that now, only because Mark Merrill is doing such good in the world, and he's being such a positive person and putting good juju out in the world. So if Mark Merrill gets wind of this particular version of the broadcast, I do apologize to Mark Merrill in advance for what you're about to hear, because I am no punches pulled. I am a outright dick to Mark Merrill in this show. I kind of criticize Finley, which I also regret, because Finley, again, is a super guy, and at the time, I felt that he wasn't the right representative to appear on these media outlets to represent WWE. Looking back, I still believe that. However, I was grossly unfair and kind of cruel in the way I talked about Finley, and that was wrong of me to do that. So, but other now that you're going to see that as part of this stream. Let's see what else. I watched the whole thing. I am very, very critical of the people that ask the questions. There's some stupid ass questions. There's some stupid ass question subjects on this show that you're about to watch back after 13 years. And I was in such a dark place when we decided to do Talk Wrestling that I just didn't care what came out of my mouth, and very unfiltered. Luckily, I didn't cross any 2020 lines because I was afraid of that. I was afraid of watching this thing, and I would go into a place where I couldn't air part of it because of 2020. 2020, what do you call it? Hindsight is a good word, obviously, because 2020 hindsight, but like 2020 states of being and 2020 views and 2020 ideals are not what they were back in 2007. So, I also want to point out that this is the show that really set me on the path. Yes, we did Extreme Mayhem, the audio show, for 2 years. Yes, we did XMV for another 2. But it was this show, Talk Wrestling, back in July 2007, that really set me on whatever kind of rocket you guys think I'm on. And I appreciate that you guys support me and you guys love what I do and everything. And it's very appreciated. And it all starts right here. It really does, because I was able to have a forum, just me, nobody else, nobody to have to filter through or, kind of overcome and on camera or on mic or whatever, and just kind of just be myself and give my own views on life. It did expand into interviews. We had RVD on the show, as well as Terry Reynolds in 2008 during the original NoDQ run of Talk Wrestling. And then when I left NoDQ in 2011 and went to the Casa D18 Studios with JJ, who I know is watching, so thank you, Jay. I appreciate you watching. Hope you got the earbuds in at work, because I'm not going to be filtered today. I was able to interview a lot of people on the independent circuit. And also, because of Talk Wrestling in 2007, I obtained my first actual work on the independent circuit. I did not receive formal training. I fully admit that. But it was a gentleman named Gary Yap who gave me an opportunity to stand under his learning tree and really learn and develop a character in the business as a manager, and eventually I became a co-promoter for Indy Federation for a while through another buddy of mine, Travis Leland, who I hope is watching. I know he's very busy right now, but it was all because of this show you're about to see right here. This really started the train down the path. This really got me in motion, and it was an unbelievable experience that I got to be a part of over the next with NoDQ with 4 years, and then I was in the Casa channel for a couple of years. I've been back with NoDQ full time since about 2014 or so, in and out. Let's be real, but it's been an amazing very surreal experience the last 13 years of there was a time, and people laugh when I say this now, but it is legitimately true. I can verify it through other people that were around at the time, but there was a time in the late 2000s, before 2010, and even in 2010, where I would go down and visit JJ and Stat Boy Mike and everybody at the Casa D18 apartment, and I would find myself taking pictures at Union Station in Los Angeles and downtown LA, or signing autographs or whatever, because I was the famous Jeff Meacham, and it was just it was very, very weird, very, very surreal to have that infamy, I guess is the best term I can say for it. Thank you all. Let's see who's here. Big G's here. Big G. There would be a Big Baller G without Jeff Meacham. I think that, granted, I hesitate to take credit because when I left the NoDQ channel in 2011, Aaron persevered on without me and became an amazing on-camera presence, and still continues to this day. 9 years later, he's the lead man. He's the boss. He's awesome. On the NoDQ channel, he is the reason we all sit here now as we speak. And so maybe there wouldn't be a Big G with that good old JM, but I like to believe there wouldn't be a Big Baller G if it wasn't for Aaron Riff. So I appreciate the compliment thrown my way, but I'm gonna keep it real. Colin, thank you, congratulations, I appreciate that. And I appreciate that you became a fan and a family member of NoDQ because of me. That is greatly appreciated that you believe that. I will own that and take credit for that. That's awesome. JJ mentions Chuck E. Cheese. Yes, there is good and bad with the infamy. We had a situation last year where my sister and my nieces and my son and I went to a Chuck E. Cheese, and the gentleman in the Chuck E. Cheese suit was a fan and decided to kind of be a little bit privacy invasive as far as hovering around the table. But you know what? I kind of look at it as it kind of is what it is. I understand that a lot of people don't have boundary standards, and that's everybody's got to be who they got to be. Now, in this day and age, it's a little weird. It's a little hazy to be that kind of person. But I understand that some fans don't know how to turn on, have that filter realized in their own head. So you know what? There you go. All right, we're going to go about 3 minutes. Wait a minute. Did I just hear that word? And then we're going to start the streaming of the original Talk Wrestling episode 1. I am hoping for at least a couple of surprise guests after we finish showing the episode, which is 22 and a half minutes long. So if we start at 3:15, we'll be going till about 3:35, about 3:37, 3:38 West Coast time. So we'll probably go till 4 overall today, just to kind of, put a little bow on it afterwards. But we'll see how things play out as the show progresses, as the stream progresses. Again, this show you're about to see does not represent the views of Jeff Meacham in 2020 necessarily, but very much did in 2007. I was a very, very angry 24-year-old person, and it honestly, over the course of the next 9 months, a lot of things changed for me, and a big part of my change into a better person is because of my son being born. And a lot of it is because of this show and the fact that I was able to filter out a lot of my aggression on, unfortunately, you guys, because I was verbally nasty for a long time. And I own that, and I take full responsibility for being a dick. So there it is. We will get going momentarily. Bailey, I love you left that for me. Thank you. I appreciate that. CJ, thank you for being here. Tobias, thank you. Jeff, thank you. Colin, thank you. JJ, I'm glad you're here, brother. We will get going momentarily. So let me just get everything queued up here. Make sure we're ready to go. We are over there. So very good. Okay. I hope you guys enjoy this. This is something I have not watched. I watched it today now to make sure it was okay, but I hadn't watched this the whole way through in a very long time. It was very interesting to watch it. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you don't, that's fine too. I understand. I really do. Because it's not everybody's cup of tea. And I never was. I never had everybody's cup of tea. And I understand that. So, again, you guys like it? Great. Well, I'll maybe air some more in future days. But for now, here it is, the very first episode of Talk Wrestling, July 16th, 2007.
Welcome, everyone, to the first edition of Talk Wrestling here on NoDQ.com, MySpace, YouTube, wherever you're watching this. You'll notice the magazine cover to my right is Chris Benoit. That's the main topic of today. It's going to be Chris Benoit. I just, thanks to Aaron's DVR, I finished watching Nancy Grace. There are some very, very misinformed people in this world. Nancy Grace is a fucking idiot, first of all. Talking about the fact that Mark Merrill's stage name is Marrow. No. Mark Merrill's stage name is Mark Marrow. That's his real name. That's his stage name, Nancy. Get it straight. Dave Finlay is not a current WWE champion. He was United States champion toward the end of last year, I believe. Maybe even as early as this year. But he has not been champion in quite some time in WWE. What else did she say? She brought on a guy by the name of Mark Marrow, who you all know, Johnny B. Bad in WCW, Mark Marrow in WWE, who hasn't been in a WWE ring in almost 10 years. I'd say about 8 years. And he's going to talk about WWE's drug issue. Mark Marrow is the most misinformed motherfucker I've ever seen in my entire life. And Mark Marrow, I hope you're watching. If you are, please respond. I'd love to hear your response to this. Because I watched you on Nancy Grace, and I cannot believe how badly you came across. You were so misinformed, it was ridiculous. You had a list of 105 wrestlers who have died in the last 10 years for various things. And they pointed out to you, to your face, you heard Dave Finlay say it, and you heard Nancy Grace say it. 5 of them were under contract to WWE at the time. 1 died because he fell from the ceiling because people didn't know how to rig a cable properly. 1 died of suicide, this gentleman right here, Chris Benoit. And Eddie Guerrero, who else died of heart disease in WWE? Help me out here, cameraman. I don't know. Eddie Guerrero died of heart disease. And, Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman died of heart disease. Not because of a drug overdose, not because of, cocaine intoxication like poor Kurt Hennig, God rest his soul. It was very, very funny to watch Mark Marrow try to make his point when he's very misinformed. And my new heroes, people, I'm telling you, Brian Alvarez from Figure 4 Online and the Wrestling Observer, and Ken Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy. I love Mr. Kennedy. He shot on the entire situation. It was great. Ken-Kennedy.com. Read his shoot. It is great. Because he rips into everybody and well-deserved. And Merrill's response was a joke. It was funny. Oh, God, I love it. It was such fun. A lot of you probably saw my column on the Chris Benoit situation on my MySpace page. For those of you that didn't, I'm going to refer you to my MySpace page, myspace.com/Jeff Meacham, JEFFMEACHAM. And you can read about what I said. I've said my piece on the Chris Benoit thing. I've said my piece on the Nancy Grace thing. So I'm going to get to your questions. A bunch of them. And Aaron just posted this a couple hours ago. People want to see Jeff Meacham. I like that. That's very cool. I appreciate that. Ron, do you think Vince should or will do a Nancy Grace parody of how bad the media is? If he does, he's a fool. I'm sorry. He needs to step away from that. And he shouldn't have sent Finlay to be the WWE representative, first of all. I'm sorry. Finlay was like, and stuff. And, they're doing all this drug testing and stuff. Finlay did not know what he was doing. I love Finlay. I've always loved Finlay. He's a great character. And I understand he's a very nice guy, but, have John Cena or, somebody that can speak a little bit more eloquently than Dave Finlay on your shows to represent your company. Because, Nancy Grace tore him apart. She's a crazy bitch. She tore him apart. And it was sad to watch. But, whatever. Okay. Mr. Clean Fan, do you agree or disagree with Mark Merrill's recent media comments about drugs and wrestling and changes needing to be made? I don't agree with the way Merrill presented himself. I think he came across, as I said, as very misinformed. However, changes do need to be made. That's very obvious in the entire wrestling industry because the guys are dying. And, a lot of it is not because of natural causes and not because of, cancer or because of this or because of that. A lot of people are dying because of the drug issue, and that's not WWE's fault at all. WWE is the major leagues. This is very true. However, you cannot blame everything in the world on Vince McMahon. We tried that. 13 years ago? We put the man on trial for steroids, and what happened? He got acquitted. Why? Because he was innocent. Vince McMahon is not the devil incarnate. Mr. McMahon may have been, but Vince McMahon is not. And when the world realizes that, everything will be much, much better. But changes do need to be made. I think the wellness policy is in effect. I mean, Dave Finley himself said on Nancy Grace that there was a drug test last week and he passed. And Benoit passed his most recent test. This was a freak accident. This is a fluke. I mean, everybody that's known Chris Benoit, mild-mannered, calm, cool, collected guy, never raise a fan to anybody, never, raise his voice to anybody, and he flipped out. It's exactly what happened. I've been there. I know what it's like to have somebody drive you to the point where you flip out and strike them. I'm not advocating it. I'm not saying it's right, but it happens. Shit happens in this world. And for what happened with Benoit, obviously, he took it to the extreme, and that's all that happened there. Let's see. LaPointe, do you think WWE is too over the top with their storylines and characters? And then, when you look at TNA, they hardly have chicks, which is okay because that leaves more for wrestling. They don't use too many backstage junk on their shows. Have you watched TNA lately? They're backstage as much as WWE ever was. What are you people talking about? Oh my goodness. They're entertaining. They have pure athletes and not steroid junkies. Oh, God. Okay. Deep cleansing breath. Let it out. Okay. TNA is a great company. I have no problem with TNA. But they are a sports entertainment company. I don't care what they market it as. Wrestling is not, the way it used to be in the 40s or the 30s. When television came around and started promoting wrestling in the Gorgeous George days, the wrestling industry changed. It's sports entertainment. Vince McMahon admitted it in the 80s, so he could get away with it. Well, it's fake. We know it's fake. And there's not too much backstage stuff. They are backstage for half of fucking Impact. Don't tell me they don't go backstage. Have you watched Impact the last couple weeks? Rated R is saying R.I.P. Danny. It wants to know when do you think WWE will start pushing Cena down? Okay. Why would you push down your most marketable star? Would you push down Hulk Hogan in 1987 when he was at the zenith of his popularity? Oh, this guy's really, really over. Let's just squash him like a bug. That is the most stupid question I've seen today. I'll probably get to stupider later, but that's okay. For right now, I'll go with this one. They're not going to push Cena down as long as he's selling merchandise, making movies, going on the TV shows, representing the company very well, which he did on Larry King the other night. He is a very good representative for the company. The guy's an eloquent speaker. He knows how to cut a promo. He knows how to sell merch. He knows he's got the look. Whether he's on steroids or not, he's got the look of a wrestler. His wrestling skills, I'll give you that. They're not that good, but neither were Hulk Hogan's, and look where he is. The most marketable star in the history of wrestling, Hulk Hogan, had a 2-move combination to end his matches. A big boot to the face and a atomic leg drop, brother. And he got over. He was over for 20 years. He's still over. He has a TV show now, for crying out loud, that covers his family because he's so over. John Cena's not going to get pushed down anytime soon. And I was one of the many people that, I hate Cena. He sucks and, he needs to go away. I have changed my mind about John Cena. He is the most marketable guy they have. And if Bobby Lashley beats him for the title at the Great American Bash, it's a travesty. I'm sorry. I did not like Bobby Lashley. I don't think he should be the WWE champion. I think John Cena is a more marketable champion. And I think if Lashley beats him, it's a travesty of justice. Paul wants to know, were Ron Killings and Conan justified in quitting TNA? I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know the whole story behind Ron Killings and Conan quitting TNA. Apparently something to do with their medical bills not being paid, or they were injured and they weren't getting paid, or whatever it was. Unfortunately, TNA does not have the resources to take care of their injured guys like WWE does. So if, and from what I understand, Conan was pretty much sucking them dry. he's been hurt forever. And he hasn't wrestled in I don't know how long. He's been a manager for most of this year, if not all of this year. And Conan's been another one of those guys that's speaking out against the industry, hasn't he? During the Benoit thing, yeah. I think Conan needs to realize that his time is over. I'm sorry. He's a nice guy. I met him at the UPW show at Anaheim, whatever it was, 3 years ago. He's a great guy. But his time is done. Ron Killings. We love Ron Killings. He was on Extreme Mayhem with us. He was going to do XMV with us when we were in Florida, but he ended up not being able to do it. I think he needs to get himself better and get his job back because he's great. And hopefully he'll realize that WWE is probably not going to hire him back. So hopefully he'll get his shit together. Philip wants to know, what are your thoughts on Jackass being involved at WWE SummerSlam? And do you think it'll be hurt or help the pay-per-view buy rate? Okay. Jackass. Jackass is a very stupid television show watched by very stupid people. I'm sorry. For those of you that like Jackass, you can turn the mute button on for a few minutes because I'm going to go off on Jackass now. Jackass is America's Funniest Home Videos taken to the ultimate extreme because these guys are purposely filming themselves doing stupid shit. How... it's Phil, I don't care. You can't get any more asinine than the Jackass guys. And for WWE to even consider contacting them and making them part of the main event at SummerSlam, WWE is desperate, and that is sad. WWE is the #1 wrestling company in the entire world, and the fact that they have to draw in these Jackass guys, wasn't TNA doing Jackass stuff a few months ago? Yes, they were. WWE does not need to sink to the level of Jackass by having Steve O and Johnny Knoxville and these other idiots, Bam Margera, and all these other assholes showing up and, doing their Jackass stunts. I will give you this. When I saw Steve-O get his butt kicked by Umaga at the Raw SmackDown Super Show a few months ago, that was awesome because I can't stand Jackass. I love seeing Umaga beat him up, but I don't want to spend $40 on a fucking pay-per-view and watch these guys get beat up. I'll go watch it at a live event, or I'll watch it on TV for free. Don't make me shell out $40 to see these jackasses. I don't want to see it. Rory, I was wondering what you think ECW needs to somehow bring the spark back into it, so to speak. I think he meant to say so to speak, but then he said sort of speak, so that's okay. Rory, what ECW needs is Paul Heyman. Booking. He booked he booked the pay-per-views, and he booked the first show. And then Vince came in and was like, okay, we're going to do this my way, because I'm Vince McMahon. Ha ha ha. And that's where WWE took ECW into the tank. That's exactly what happened. If they brought back Paul in a creative control capacity and they let them do what ECW used to do, I think they'd be more successful. WWE right now is presenting their version of ECW. Vince McMahon is basically saying, I own ECW, here's my way of doing it. Ha ha ha. And that's a mistake. ECW needs to be presented the way it used to be presented. And if they do that, then they'll get the spark back, so to speak. And I hope they do it soon. I hope they realize the error of their ways. I will say, however, making Johnny Nitro the ECW champion was a brilliant booking move. I don't care what anybody says. I love Johnny Nitro, and I think he's a great heel champion. And he's one of the most athletic guys I've ever seen. I loved him in M&M. I loved him as the Intercontinental Champion. I love him as the ECW World Champion. So hopefully, if they start reshaping the booking, hopefully they'll keep him around in ECW and he'll be a star there because he's great. I love Johnny Nitro. JCB, what's your opinion on the new Big Daddy V versus Boogeyman feud and Viscera's new look? Viscera needs to put his shirt back on, okay? Viscera has got some big old man titties. He has not been in shape in his entire life. God bless him. Formerly King Mabel, formerly Mabel of Men on a Mission, formerly Viscera, now he's Big Daddy V. The man is not in shape. He looks terrible. He should be wearing a shirt at all times. You don't see my fat ass in front of the camera going, oh, look at my titties. No, I don't think so. There's no reason for that. No. I agree with him being a killer. I agree with him being, Big Daddy V. That's fine. But Big Daddy V can put his damn shirt back on. All right. Our next questions, both of them, come from 5-Star Wrestling. He has a couple of questions. His first one is, do you ever think we will see WWE versus TNA matches? Yes. In Booker T's Indy Fed. We saw King Booker and a wrestler whose name is escaping me right now, against Team 3D the other night. So if you want to see WWE versus TNA, go to Booker's house shows or live events, whatever you want to call them. Other than that, no, because WWE and TNA are competing companies. You're not going to, just like, you know, when we ever see the WWE versus WCW Dream match, yes, when WWE bought WCW, not before. So if WWE ever buys out TNA, then yeah, we'll see it. Otherwise, no. His other question, whatever happened to XPW? XPW, for those of you that have never heard of XPW, and shame on you if you haven't, Extreme Pro Wrestling was originally conceived, I believe, to be the West Coast version of ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling. It was run by Extreme Associates, Rob Black. Extreme Associates is a adult film company, and they decided to venture into the wrestling business, and they made a pretty good go of it there for about 4 years or so. Unfortunately, after they did their last shows in California, because they taped in Philadelphia for a while, they did their last shows in California the weekend of my birthday, in February 28th and March 1st of 2003. They went back to Philadelphia, did one show, and then they ran into some legal troubles with the federal authorities. Apparently they were distributing underage pornography, or they were, you know what it was? It was distributing obscene film in the state of Pittsburgh, I believe it was, which is like a really big deal. The feds came in and raided the office. A friend of mine, or an ex-friend of mine, actually worked for XPW at the time, and he was there when the feds showed up. Like, they basically, he was driving away, the feds were driving to her, and he saw, like, it was like 2 or 3 different federal trucks or vans or whatever it was pulled up and raided the office, and that was the demise of XPW, unfortunately. I loved XPW. I loved being able to interview all those people we did over the course of those 2 days. I loved covering it with Mike. I thought it was a great promotion, and it died way too soon. And I would hope that they had like a little bit of a mini reunion at a Battleground show out in Newhall, where I live, or close to where I live, not too long ago. They had a few of the XPW guys up there. I wish it would come back full time. I wish Extreme Associates would put it back full time. I don't think it's going to happen. That's a real shame. Joshua M. Do you think Chris Benoit should be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame someday? I like this question. This is a good question. Thank you, Josh. That is a really sensitive issue, unfortunately, because, it's hard to, until we find out, none of us really know what happened the night, the weekend of, the last weekend in June. We'll never really know what happened with Chris and Nancy and Daniel Benoit. But to take away from his career, I think, is wrong for a 3 days of, lapse in judgment, I guess you could call it, for lack of a better term right now. I think Chris Benoit should be in the WWE Hall of Fame, but it shouldn't be for a long time. I think, my personal opinion, and I mean this, I swear to God I do, they rushed putting Eddie Guerrero in the Hall of Fame because everybody was like, oh, poor Eddie, he died, it was horrible. And it was. It was horrible that Eddie Guerrero died. I cried for 3 days when Eddie Guerrero died. I did. Ask Jade. She was there. We both were crying for days. Jade's my ex-girlfriend. Those of you who have never seen me before, you'll hear more about her, I'm sure, in a few shows to come. But they rushed putting him in the Hall of Fame, and hopefully they will be smart and not put Chris Benoit in the Hall of Fame until many, 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 many years down the road. All right, P. Giddy wants to know, does Kane deserve one more run with the world title, and do you think he'll get it? If he's going to get it, the time is now, honestly. Kane is in the latter stage of his career, from what I understand. And if he's going to win the world title, it's going to be the Great American Bash. If he doesn't win it there, he's probably not going to win a world championship again. Kane is past his time. Kane was a great character. Kane has been a great character his entire run. But I think that his time has passed. That's just my personal opinion. Let me know what you think. Email me on MySpace or whatever and let me know what you think. But I think his time is done. Craig, if RVD ever returns to wrestling, will it be with WWE or TNA? And that's a really good question. I have not talked to Rob in a long time. I wish he would. I wish I could get a hold of him and find out where he's going right now. He's taken a well-deserved hiatus. The last year has been very hard on him. He's seen what was his baby, his vision, ECW, along with Paul Heyman, the rebirth of ECW go in the tank because of Vince McMahon and WWE. And I think he wanted a break, and he got it. His contract was up. He's taking a break, and good for him. Spend some time with your wife. I think that if he does come back, he will likely go back to WWE because it's a more stable paycheck, perhaps. But TNA may be more his style as far as the laid back schedule. However, traveling to Florida, I think, will be a big thing for him because I don't know if he'll want to travel to Florida. They tape every other week or every week, every other week. I mean, that's quite a lot of travel. I mean, you're there for 2, 3, 4 days, and it's hard to say. I will attempt to contact Rob and let you guys know about that. Nick, why can't TNA do above a 1.2 rating, and what do you think of Bill and Doug's anti-WWE comments on YouTube? Are those two idiots that are so pro-TNA and just bash WWE? Those two guys are so fucking stupid. I'm sorry, but they are. They're like, oh, WWE sucks, TNA rules. Okay, TNA is doing a 1.2. TNA is not better than WWE. I'm sorry. TNA is doing a 1.2 because they're at 9 o'clock on Thursdays. They're opposite like the primetime stuff on NBC and CBS and all the other networks. Okay? TNA is doing a bad rating because they're in a bad slot. Raw's doing decent ratings because they're in a good slot. They've been in that slot for 14 years, roughly. Give or take different times here and there. But they've been at 9 o'clock since January of 93. I mean, they're established. TNA is not established yet. They're going to get better ratings when they have a better product and when they have a better time slot. If they get 2 hours, they may get a better rating. TNA's pushing for 2 hours. I think they can fill 2 hours with more wrestling. Stop at the backstage shit. Focus on the wrestling like you guys used to do. That'd be great. Corey wants to know my thoughts on Mr. Kennedy's response to the Benoit media coverage. I think Ken Kennedy is the best guy to have said anything. Ken Kennedy knows what he's talking about. He did his research, obviously, and he posted a very nice response. Not a nice response. He basically lashed out against the media. But you know what? Good for him. If I had the thing in front of me, I'd read it verbatim. I would. Because Ken Kennedy posted such a great response, put that idiot Mark Merrow in his place. Mark Merrow had to respond, and he sounded like a dumbass when he did. It was great. I love Mr. Kennedy. It's awesome. Give me your critiques. Let me know what you thought. We tried to do a quick format here. Hopefully it went over well. That's it. Good night.
So there you go. There it is, kids. Yeah, that was the first show ever of Talk Wrestling back in 2007. 13 years ago today. That's crazy, right? It's again, a lot of it doesn't age well. A lot of it, I was talking to a few really close friends about this before I went on the air today. I'm a real dick in that episode, and I don't necessarily apologize for it, right? Because you're everybody's a different person, in hindsight. We all look back and we all regret, some of the things that we do or say in our youth. And I'm 24 years old in that shot. I'm not even a father yet. I don't even know I'm going to be a father yet. That's how long ago this is. I was not technically even a father yet. Dylan had not been even conceived at this point. That's how long ago this is for me. So again, I kind of take the show with a grain of salt, and but I do. There are a couple things that are definitely like ouch. Like Chris Benoit will never be in the Hall of Fame. That is not going to happen. It's just not. There's no way. And we know much more on July 16, 2020 than we did on July 16, 2007 about the Chris Benoit situation and what his brain chemistry was like and the situation that was happening at home and everything. And it doesn't matter. When it comes down to it, it does not really matter. Chris Benoit will never be a WWE Hall of Fame inductee. It just will not happen. It is the worst possible PR situation WWE could ever fathom. Ever. worse than keeping Jimmy Snuka in, worse than keeping Hogan in, any of it. It's just bad, and it will never happen. Again, I was hard on Mark Marrow, and I apologize for that now, because Mark is doing amazing things in the community of the world, with his motivational speaking and his positive message to the world at large. And I can't emphasize enough how different a person Mark Marrow is in 2020 than he was in 2007, as far as the way he presents himself, the way he spreads the positive word, and he is an amazing guy. And I owe him an apology for the way I talked about him on that show. So there's that. Gotta love picking on John, right? Even back then, I was already starting to come around on John and, defend Mr. Cena against the haters and the Cena bashers. But you know what? At that time, he was the guy. And, with all due respect to everybody on the roster now, John Cena still has that appeal. John Cena still has that marketability where, if he was to come back in, every one of you, all 11 of you in the watching right now, everybody in the chat room right now, if he was to come back and turn heel, you guys would eat that shit up. Because and that's not a critique, that is a fact. That is actually it's an opinion. It's because it's my opinion. But I firmly believe that if John were to come back, that you got and turn heel, you guys would eat it alive. It'd be beautiful, and you guys would love life if it happens. So there's that. Kind of the MySpace plugs, right? God, that ages this show drastically. Because goodness, 2 years later, Facebook would be a thing, and off it went to the races. And MySpace is, kind of is what it is. I don't directly know anybody that has a MySpace, so it's just funny to me now. But Jay, I know you got to go back to work, so I appreciate you popping into the chat. So thank you. Stay safe. Again, we've mentioned on the shows, JJ's an essential worker, so he's dealing with the incredible deep mud thick crud of retail work, which couldn't pay me enough to do that shit right now, guy. That's craziness. So Jay is a better person than me. That is for, as far as retail work goes, man. That's crazy. I can't even stress enough how important that is, that you're providing that service for your community and the people around you. So that's very cool. If anybody would like to pop on, I'm still waiting on another special guest. JJ was going to be one of them, but he has to go back to work, as I said. He's clocking in like right now, I think. So I am waiting on somebody else. I'm going to give him until 4. And then we will, or at least until a few more minutes from now, and then we'll go from there. Let me see, actually. Let's see if this works here. I'm gonna try this. Hell with it. Let's see if this works. Why not? I'm gonna FaceTime him. Probably won't pick up. That's okay. I hate the FaceTime buzz. It didn't call. Okay, fine. Well, hopefully he calls. Anyway, so yeah, again, I mentioned this during the intro. That really, as harsh as that show was, it really kind of set me on the path. And here I sit with my own channel, my own network, if you will, doing the audio, doing the video, and really making a go of it. It's really, it's crazy that you guys out there, all of you, have allowed me to live this crazy life. It'll be 18 years total coming up in October, and we're gonna maybe do a if I get my hands on the original show, or at least the first interview of Extreme Mayhem. I don't know if I can broadcast it because there's legalities and whatnot, but we'll see. But I've met an amazing array of people with this career of mine. much more so in the last 13 years because of this show, Talk Wrestling. And it's an incredible feeling to know that I generate opinion, whether it's positive, negative, indifferent, whatever. There's an opinion. There's people talking about little old me, this kid from, a suburb of Los Angeles in California who grew up a wrestling fan, discovered the business at 7 years old, and really just wanted to, express an opinion. And I did that, and I got an opportunity from a wonderful human being who is my best friend in this world now, and Aaron. And he it's crazy how the world revolves, how the sands of time pass, that everybody I've worked with or met along the way the last 18 years, even when we had our falling out, that wasn't Aaron's fault. I took that out on him. That was my bad. And it really, it speaks to the character of Aaron that he still allowed me back in his plane of circle. And he's just a very forgiving person. He's a very genuine person, and he's awesome. I love Aaron, and I'm grateful to him. So I can't express enough how much the opportunity he gave me, the opportunity he gave me has led me where I am now. So, and all you guys out here, you guys watch me at least 3 times a week now, with the Talk Wrestling on Mondays, the rewinds, and whatever show I end up doing on Fridays, whether it be Dad's on this channel, which, by the way, tomorrow, JJ and I are going to cover our top 10 baseball themed movies, which I had a lot of fun with because I love baseball and I love movies. So there you go. Good stuff. And then, of course, the other Fridays we do the NoDQ.com Wrestling Trivia Challenge with Greg Cherry on the Greg Cherry brand, which, again, I get so many comments. I get so many comments about WTC. I actually got a lot today. There's a thread today that started. Aaron put a thread up on Twitter about somebody challenging him, and people kept encouraging me to come out of retirement and take Greg down. And it's like, I don't have an interest. I don't. I had no desire to be that guy in that hot seat again. I'm enough of a hot seat as it is, hosting the shows every other week, trying to come up with questions, trying to keep the show interesting. Greg is the one that has taken this project and really just off to the races, because he's the one that got Sarah involved with the voiceover. He's the one that really spearheaded and just encouraged and nagged Aaron to let us do it on his channel. That way we could do it our way, do what we wanted to do with it. And Aaron did, to his credit. He really did. So I don't know where. Oh, that's over here. That's why. I need to turn that other monitor off. Anyway, but yeah, it's Greg that has allowed me to continue on doing the WTC stuff as a host, and I'm grateful as hell. So and JJ, to his credit, he and I have had our differences, and we brought him back into the fold, and he and I, we love doing Dads. It's a great show. When we get a recording done, it's a beautiful thing, and when it takes 42 takes, it kind of sucks, but it is what it is, as we say on NoDQ and all across my shows. So anyway, I'm babbling. I will fully admit to having a little liquid courage to do the show today, because quite frankly, I was a little nervous to do this show, because it's a very very aged show 13 years later, but I'm glad you guys seem to enjoy it. I appreciate it. I appreciate the feedback here in the moment. I will appreciate the comments as they come through in the next few days. Stay tuned to this channel tomorrow again for the Dads on Wrestling. We will be doing our top 10 baseball movies. NoDQ.com will have coverage. Is it this weekend of Extreme Rules? I think so, huh? Yeah, this week. Okay, NoDQ.com have Extreme Rules. I will actually be doing a live watch along. I just remember that in this moment. Sunday, Oh, I have to put the time up on Twitter. I don't have the time in front of me, and I don't have the energy to freaking find it. So, but on this channel, Sunday afternoon, an hour before the kickoff show on the WWE Network, I will be live and in color, baby, as the Dream would have said back then, to go over the show with you and watch along with y'all. So come back here Sunday. Definitely come back here tomorrow and check out the top 10 baseball movies from the dads, not always on wrestling, because I love doing that show with Jay, and baseball been very, very good to me. See you guys next time.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
The Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from the Casa D18 Studios.
and gentlemen, to the premiere episode of A Hardy Conversation. My name is Sean Hardy.
And I am Chris Hardy.
And week in and week out, month in and month out, we're going to bring you our opinions on all the happenings within the world of wrestling, be it WWE, TNA, and as we are able to, Ring of Honor, PWG, some of the other independent federations that we can keep tabs on. Today, in our first episode, we are going to just give you a little bit of a bio about us. So, Chris, why don't you go ahead and tell them a little bit about yourself?
As you know, I am Chris Hardy. I've been a fan since about 1999, when the whole Edge and Christian Hardy Boys Brood era started, then moved on to the TLC era. I've been a loyal fan ever since. Even during the bad times and good times, I've stuck with WWE. I'm a big fan of the Hardy Boys. They are my icons. Matt and Jeff Hardy. Even though Matt is here right now, still like him. Gotta be loyal to my Hardy Boys. I like Evan Bourne, Rey Mysterio, John Morrison, the High Flyers in wrestling right now. Jack Evans, PWG guy. But I really like that kind of wrestling. Crime Time, Primo and Carlito. I like Legacy, Randy Orton. I like Legacy right now. I don't like really TNA very much. The main event Mafia makes me want to barf. I tried to watch it when Jeff was there. I did watch it when Jeff was there. And I quickly moved on to WWE once he returned. Guys I don't like in WWE are the Ultimate Warrior, Batista. He sucks as a wrestler. I kind of like John Cena right now. He's getting kind of old very fast, even though he doesn't have a belt, thank God. I've been a loyal fan. I've been going to events in Anaheim, Vegas, LA, San Diego. It was in California and Vegas. I am there. I've been to 6 WrestleManias. This past one, WrestleMania 25, I was out with my beautiful fiance, and it was her first WrestleMania. I think it was one of the worst WrestleManias ever, but the whole experience of being there with her first WrestleMania and my 6th, just being there with my beautiful fiance, meant the world to me. So, take it over, Sean Hardy.
Okay, well, some of my favorite wrestlers are also the Hardy Boys. I tend to favor Matt more so than Jeff because as much as I love Jeff, I also feel he's a bit of a spot monkey and he's not really the most technically sound individual on the roster.
Sure.
I tend to like more of the technical wrestlers, the guys that can go hold for hold, move for move, old school chain wrestling style. Which bores a lot of the newer fans that are more interested in 5-knuckle shuffles. I enjoy the Hart Dynasty. They are one of the best things going on ECW right now,
True.
along with Evan Bourne and Christian. Those 5 names right there are the reason I tune into ECW every week, and the only reason I tune into ECW every week.
True.
Over on Raw, I like Randy Orton and the Legacy. I've been a Randy Orton fan since he debuted back in 2002, whooping on Hardcore Holly.
Yeah.
And I have never once wavered from being a Randy Orton fan.
Yep.
I cannot stand John Cena. All you little 16-year-olds and little girls out there, go ahead, you can stop the video right now because from here on out, you will not hear me say a good word about John Cena. Chances are, if you hear his name come out of my mouth, it'll be followed by some kind of negativity.
Well, I do have one good thing.
What?
He's a champion.
That is good. That is good. John Cena, not holding the belt, is very, very good right now. The only time I would probably get back into being a Cena fan is if they made him heel. Because WWE needs to make him heel. The only reason they won't make him heel is because he sells too much merchandise. All the little kids will go crying home to mommy and daddy that their favorite wrestler has gone to a bad guy, and they won't go buy the t-shirts, DVDs, action figures, etc., 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 etc. Over on SmackDown, I'm a big fan of Crime Time, Edge, as you mentioned earlier. Undertaker, I can't wait for him to come back, see what he's got planned after decimating Shawn Michaels at, like you said, the lamest WrestleMania ever. I do watch TNA from time to time when I remember it's on. I usually work in the evenings, so to have a day like today where I'm actually home is a rarity, so I'll be able to watch it tonight. Over there, I like the Motor City Machine Guns. Best thing to come out of Detroit, by the way. AJ Styles, Chris Sabin, Christopher Daniels, Suicide, aka Frankie Kazarian. The Main Event Mafia, whatever. Like he said, I believe they did that back in WCW. It was called the Billionaires Club.
I think NWO.
So that's a little bit about me. I've been a wrestling fan since right about SummerSlam 1998.
Any divas you like?
So about a year before Chris got into it, I was watching it. Divas, Natalia, as I already mentioned with the Hart Dynasty, Beth Phoenix, Lita, miss her, Victoria, who's now over in TNA, waiting to see if she's going to keep the Victoria name or if WWE is going to issue a cease and desist and she's going to have to go to her real name. Basically, I like the kind of divas that can whoop your ass. I kind of find that a little bit of a turn on, actually.
Yeah, I like Mickie James, Melina, Kelly, Santina Marella, the new diva on Raw. Haven't heard from her much. Have you heard from anything? I don't know about them, but she's really good. She's going to defeat the new WrestleMania, Vicky Guerrero, in a hog pen match. I'm very interested in that match.
I can't believe you went there, Chris.
Yeah, I know.
I like Santino. I think Santino is one of the best comedic performers that is in wrestling right now. But Santina needs to just go somewhere. Seriously. Just need to get rid of that whole storyline, angle, gimmick, whatever you want to label it as, because it's lame.
Yes.
You know that a match is a joke when a guy in drag wins the crown of Miss WrestleMania. I'm
True.
sorry. That was a slap in the face of every diva that is, and every woman's wrestler that has ever set foot in the square circle. From Mae Young, Fabulous Moolah, Sherry Martel, Miss Elizabeth, Sunny, Sable, Trish,
Lita,
all the way down to the new generation today. Slapping all of their faces when you give that crown to a guy in drag.
Another disgrace, I think, was giving CM Punk the Money in the Bank briefcase twice in a row. I think they should have given it to Christian or putting some different guys in the match, because Kane and Mark Henry in the Money in the Bank ladder match is wrong. They should have replaced it with Ray, Evan Bourne, put some good guys in there. Even Kofi Kingston, the new U.S. champion, would have been a better winner in that match, or even MVP. Ballin'! So, him being champion, I hope he loses it or at least turns heel so a face can beat him for that briefcase, because really I do not like CM Punk at all.
See, I don't think he should have won the Money in the Bank briefcase, but I think CM Punk is an awesome wrestler, an awesome talent, and if they let him do even half of the shit that he got away with doing in Ring of Honor, like the Pepsi Plunge, Triple H, I'm talking to you, then you might have a little bit more respect for him. Sure. We're going to run down the card for this Sunday's Extreme Rules pay-per-view, give you our input as to who should go over, who should win the belts, and what should be the aftermath resulting within those matches. Chris, go ahead and start it off.
Alright, we have a CM Punk versus Umaga, or Umanga, as William Regal likes to say, in a Samoan strap match. This is Umaga's match. It's kind of like a bull rope match for those people who don't know yet. It's each four corners of the ring. It's completed kind of like the Eddie Guerrero JBL match a few years back. I think Umaga's going to win this match just because it's his type of match. In these kind of matches, they always put the guy who is used to it, or because he's a Samoan, put him over in the match. We have Santina Marella versus Vicky Guerrero in a hog pen match. I think Vicky Guerrero is going to lose. I think Santina is going to be put over since she was the original, or he was the original Miss WrestleMania, because her just being WrestleMania is stupid. I do not like her. Her laugh and her whole heel mode is disgusting. I think she needs to go home and take care of her kids and bring back Mike Adamle or someone more entertaining. Anyway, I think Santina will win that match.
Chris, did you just use Mike Adamle and entertaining in the same sentence?
Yeah, I'm sorry I did that.
I don't know if I could even go there.
Yeah, me too. He's more entertaining than Vicky Guerrero, I think. Anyway, on to we have Chris Jericho versus Rey Mysterio in a no holds barred match.
For the Intercontinental title.
Correct. This one's kind of interesting, even though they had done it many times in WCW. I've heard lately like Rey Mysterio needs to go away for injury, so I think Jericho might be put over because every week is the whole Chris Jericho show versus the Ed show to see who wins. So I think Chris Jericho will win this one. Then we have U.S. Championship Fatal 4, Matt Hardy versus William Regal versus the new U.S. Champion Kofi Kingston versus MVP. Either I think Kofi will retain or I think Matt Hardy will win. Depending on if Matt interferes in the ladder match, will determine if he wins or not. But I think either Kofi or Matt will win that one. The world title, Jeff Hardy. I really want him to go over on this one. I mean, probably the biggest Jeff Hardy fan you'll ever meet. But with a contract situation, I don't think he'll win that. But I do think that will be a match of the night because Edge and Jeff have stolen the show in many ladder matches all the way back to No Mercy 1999. So I think that will be the match of the night. Randy Orton versus Batista in a steel cage match. That will probably be the bathroom break match for you new people in WWE. The bathroom break match is basically when you all go take a crapper or a piss or go to the souvenir stand because the match sucks. So I think Randy Orton will retain because I don't like Batista and the Sean Hardy over here. So we got Christian versus Jack Swagger versus Tommy Dreamer for the ECW Championship. I think either Tommy Dreamer will win and go on ECW or he'll win, and someone like Vladimir Kozlov or a big heel will come on down, challenge him for the belt, and he'll lose it within 1 second, kind of like old WCW, like just Incredible did back in the old WCW. And it has 8 matches on the card. We have all 3 world titles. We have US and IC, the 2 mid-card championships. And then we have the Hog Pen match. We have the S'mores Mission strap, and then probably not a very good match will be the John Cena Big Show match. Because I'm interested to see how he'll submit Big Show, but also the John Cena match. So
this will be my bathroom match.
Yeah, it could be 2 bathroom break matches. I'm not sure. Depending on the Hog Pen match, it might be a throw-up match after John Cena. But really, 8 matches on a pay-per-view card is rare, especially for WWE and Vince. So I think there are going to be a couple short matches instead of being 20-minute long matches. I don't think there'll be a half-hour Jericho Edge promo in between there. But overall, I think Extreme Rules is going to be a good pay-per-view. On to Sean Hardy.
Okay, for the CM Punk Umaga Samoan strap match, again, like I said earlier when you were talking about Punk and Money in the Bank, do not count out CM Punk. CM Punk is over huge with the fans. Umaga's been getting the better of him week in and week out on SmackDown Superstars. Look for CM Punk to walk away with this match. My money will be on CM Punk. Regarding the John Cena Big Show submission match, as we already pointed out, I can't stand Cena. I also can't stand the Big Slow. I think he's a 500-pound piece of monkey crap, as The Rock would say. I think they just need to pay off his contract and let him go off into the sunset and use that money year in, year out to actually hire some good wrestlers.
And do the White Boy too, Captain Cena.
We also had the Hog Pen match, which, honestly, if I was going to buy the pay-per-view, which I'm not, but if I was going to buy the pay-per-view, I would be buying it for the Hog Pen match alone. I think, like I said, Santino is a good comedy performer. We all know that Santino is Santina. For those of you young kids that really think it's somebody different,
It is.
sorry, I just had to shatter your dreams there. It's really the same person. That's why the tattoos all look exactly the same. But I actually want to see Vicky Guerrero win this one. because although I am not a huge Vicky Guerrero fan, I like her more than I like Santina. At least she's a real female.
Sure.
Use the term loosely,
Yeah.
but at least she is a real female. Ray Jericho, it's a coin toss for me. I like Rey Mysterio. I'd like to see him keep the IC belt, but I also have heard about him needing time off to recuperate injuries, so it really could go either way. Wouldn't bother me if Jericho won this belt for what, like the 500th time?
Seriously.
The winningest Intercontinental Champion in history. Seriously, I wonder if you added all his Intercontinental title runs up, if he will have beaten the Honky Tonk Man.
Seriously.
Just something I'm throwing out there. To my good buddy Jeff Meacham, who hosts Talk Wrestling, you can see it via NoDQ.com. If you can do the research on that for me, let me know. Greatly appreciate it. United States Championship. This is an interesting one for me because I have something concocted in my brain that I would love to see the WWE do, but one, a lot of people think I'm crazy when I tell them about it, and two, we all know Vince doesn't give the fans what he really wants. I want William Regal to win the United States Championship. I think William Regal is one of the most underrated, underutilized talents on their roster, and I want Regal to get the belt and then change it back into the European Championship, at least for the amount of time that Regal is champion. I think it would be hilarious and a great way to put Regal over in a big way. Tommy Dreamer versus Jack Swagger versus Christian. That was my scenario, doofus. I've been the one week in and week out saying that Tommy's going to win and a heel like Kozlov is going to come out, challenge him, beat him for the belt. That is my scenario. If that happens, all credit goes to me. Forget the fact that this guy said it first. Orton Batista in a cage, come on. You got to give it to Orton. He's more agile, he's more entertaining, and he's the better wrestler. And Batista is honestly better when he's chasing the belt. He's horrible trying to carry the show. Which leads us to the ladder match. Jeff Hardy, Edge, ladder. What it's all going to come down to is, have they resolved Jeff Hardy's contract dispute by Sunday? If they worked out a deal, just going to walk out the champ. If they haven't, Edge is going to retain. For the debut episode of A Hardy Conversation, I'm Sean Hardy, this is Chris Hardy, and we'll see you on the next show.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
The Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from NoDQ.com.
Welcome everyone to NoDQ&A here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel, youtube.com/NoDQ&CAW. Today, for the first edition in video format, I will be answering some of the most frequently asked questions that I receive, so let's get to it. The first one is, how did you get into wrestling? Well, I've been a long-time wrestling fan. In fact, pretty much my entire life. I'm a second-generation fan. My dad grew up on wrestling himself in the 1960s and 70s. He lived back east in New Jersey, went to the Madison Square Garden shows, and then he moved to California in the late 70s and started watching at the Grand Olympic Auditorium. And then when I was born, I remember my dad used to record wrestling shows on VHS tapes, so I would watch all the wrestling events from the early to mid 80s and then the late 80s and on. So, it's been a big part of my life pretty much since birth. Actually, a funny story here is my very first memory in my entire life was I was in my crib and I looked over at the wall and there was a picture of Ox Baker that my dad had put up. Now, Ox Baker is this wrestler from the 60s and 70s. He had the big, scary handlebar mustache and he was bald, and it just scared the shit out of me. And, it gave me nightmares for months and months after that. And that's my earliest memory in my entire life, is that picture of Ox Baker. So that's just an interesting story right there. The next question was, what was your first live event? My first show that I ever went to was 1987. It was Hulk Hogan versus Randy Savage at the Los Angeles Sports Arena. I believe it was around June of 1987. It was a couple months after Savage faced Steamboat at WrestleMania 3, and about a month or two before Savage turned babyface for the first time in WWE. So I think we were in the cheap seats for that event. So I do remember very vaguely being way up there, and you practically needed binoculars to see anything, but it was a fun time. I actually have better memories of some of the shows I went to in 1991. The first show that I remember very specifically was Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter in a boot camp match at the LA Sports Arena. It was around July 1991. And my dad, we were like in the 10th row, but people were standing up and it was really hard to see. So my dad put me up on his shoulders so I could actually see the match. So I remember that really well. And then I actually saw, I believe it was the second ever Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair match at the LA Sports Arena. They had the first one, I believe, around... It was just like September 1991. The first match was like in San Jose. And then the second one was at the LA Sports Arena. So I remember that really well. The next question is, what do you look for in a good wrestling product? Well, I pretty much like everything. My number one goal is to be entertained. I like the storylines. I like the pyro. I like the music. I like the characters. I like the athleticism. I like the whole rock show atmosphere and presentation to the whole thing. The extravaganza, as Vince McMahon would say. So I like the whole package. To me, that's what I like, and that's what I look for as a wrestling fan. And the next question is, who are your favorite wrestlers? I get this question asked all the time. My number one, no doubt, would be Hulk Hogan. I grew up on Hulk Hogan. He is, whether you like him or hate him, when you judge his personal life, but as a performer, as a box office draw, Hulk Hogan is in a whole league of his own. He was the draw for WWE in the late 1980s and early 90s. And even today, if you go down the street and you ask just a random person, like, name a pro wrestler, Hulk Hogan is the first guy that the majority of people will name. And he's a guy that people who do not watch wrestling or follow it at all, they will recognize that name and that persona. So Hulk Hogan, number one, no doubt in my book. Number two, and this is very close, would be Stone Cold Steve Austin, because he transcended the entire wrestling industry in the late 1990s, and he proved that a guy that could work really hard could achieve his goals. And that's the thing I love about Steve Austin. His whole character, revolutionized the wrestling industry and made it really cool to be a wrestling fan. You could actually go places wearing the Austin 316 shirt, and people, would applaud you for that instead of mocking you. So Steve Austin, definitely number 2. And my number 3 would be Shawn Michaels. Not as big of a draw as Hogan or Austin, but in the ring, in my opinion, there is nobody that can touch Shawn Michaels. In a big like Jim Ross said, in a big match situation, nobody could deliver like Shawn Michaels. So, he is the showstopper, the icon, the main eventer. In my opinion, the single best in-ring performer in the history of professional wrestling. So those are my top 3 right there. Now the last question is, how did you start NoDQ.com? Well, I started surfing the net at age 15 in the summer of 1998. And I made my first website. I don't know if some of you remember Tripod, the free home pages back in the late 90s. The first website I made was called DXerps. It was basically just pictures and a listing of all the DX members up to that point. Like Rick Rude was listed on there, and Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, Chyna, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and so forth. So the next page I made was Stone Cold's wrestling polls. It was basically just a whole page of different wrestling polls, just asking people what they thought about certain wrestlers or certain storylines. And then in November 1998, I registered my first domain name. I finally figured out how to do that, and got my own web server and started Stone Cold Wrestling. But then the domain name was wwf.wcw.com, so that just became the name of the site, wwf.wcw.com. And for the news, photos, and polls, and all this stuff, the site got really popular around 1999, and this was before everyone and their brother had a website, so it was something fairly easy to get into back in the late 1990s when not a lot of people were doing it. So, people always ask me, how do you get the site so popular? It's really hard today, but, I built up the fan base in the late 90s, and it continued to grow for years and years. So, and speaking of that, I'd like to thank everybody for supporting the website. And, on YouTube, there's a few trolls here and there, and, people just being assholes in general. So if you guys want to just talk shit, I'll just block you, bottom line. But for those of you that want to give constructive feedback, I really do appreciate it. And for those of you that keep supporting the site, thank you very much. So that's about it for the first edition of No DQ&A video. Leave your comment. Let me know what you think. Constructive criticism would be great. And we'll see you next time for No DQ&A video here on NoDQ.com.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
The Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from the Casa D18 Studios.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the premiere episode of the Renegade of Wrestling. I am your host, JJ Williams, the Renegade, and I'm going to be here today and in the coming weeks to discuss what else wrestling. As a matter of fact, I'm going to coin a phrase here. I am here to talk wrestling with you, the viewers. But alas, I digress. Today, I'm just going to kind of introduce myself to you a little bit. I don't have too much to talk about in the world of WWE or TNA, because quite frankly, my daughter's birthday was this week, and I haven't been able to get caught up on the products. Sue me, okay? I've been a wrestling fan since 1998, summer to be exact. First big pay-per-view I remember watching, whether it was on video or live, was SummerSlam 98. A lot of people call that pay-per-view horrible with the way the entrance was all set up at MSG. I personally liked it for my first big pay-per-view. Seeing Austin come out, the glass crashing down and the skull glass breaking was cool. Being able to see off on the side the little, pictures to hype up the matches, the fan seats, that was cool. For a first pay-per-view, it was cool. Hindsight 2020, maybe it didn't work out as best as they wanted it to be, but again, I digress. First WrestleMania was WrestleMania 15. First live event that I attended was The Raw directly after WrestleMania 2000. Live, Staples Center, Eddie Guerrero versus Chris Jericho for the European title, Eddie winning his first WWF title. Since then, I've been to numerous shows. You've probably seen me at a Raw, SmackDown. Hell, I was at the only time that the real ECW came to LA, Grand Olympic Auditorium, Heatwave 2000. I was there. I was at the Long Beach Arena the last time the real WCW came to town. Horrible, horrible show. Horrible. But you know what? I got a free ticket courtesy of Kiwi. One guy I can never shit talk. Horrible gimmick, awesome dude. I've been to countless independent shows. You've probably seen me at Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood taping, possibly Ultimate Pro Wrestling, AWS, Bart, been there. Let's just say I've been around the block once or twice. For someone who may not be as educated as a wrestling fan as some people who've been watching all of their life, I've done my research. When I was first getting into it, my good friend Bruce Edwards loaned me his PWI Almanac and said, here, if you're going to like wrestling, do your goddamn homework. So I would sit on the bus to school, reading, studying championship histories, pay-per-views, the whole nine. There was a time I could recite it to you. Not as much anymore because my brain is shit. But whatever. Favorite wrestlers. Randy Orton fan since his debut. Miz fan since I first saw him on the Indy circuit. The Hearts, Natalya, my baby mama. Love you, baby. In fact, I named my daughter Natalie because of Natalya. Just want to throw that out there. Over in TNA, I don't care how they dress him up. I don't care whose bitch they make him. I don't care if he's a Nature Boy wannabe or a Christian carbon copy, AJ Styles, you're still the phenomenal one to me. Frankie Kazarian, you're still the best around. Motor City Machine Guns. Just throwing it out there. Jay Lethal. Even if it's one night only, dude, bring back Black Machismo. I thought it was hilarious. Kurt Angle. From debut to now, stuck with Kurt Angle. Not really, but hey, you wouldn't know unless I told you. Indies. Joey Ryan. My boy. Brandon Parker. Mach 1 champion Willie Mack. All these guys I've seen come from nothings to somethings. Honestly, I'm running out of stuff to say here because I think I've kind of given you enough about who I am for today. But I just want to let you know one other thing, and that is to be on the lookout for my other show. Yes, I'm hitting you twice a week, bitches. You're going to get the Renegade of Wrestling on his own opinionated show, and then you're going to get me on the show Dads of Wrestling with my co-host,
Jeff Meacham from NoDQ.com.
Mr. TW.
Mr. TW. And there are three things I gathered from your talk just now, Jay.
What is that, sir?
Your brain is shit. That's what I said. I heard you say. Number two, all those companies you mentioned, except for WWE, yeah, I work for them all.
Okay.
And number three, Dads of Wrestling, coming up soon on YouTube.
Be on the lookout for it. I'll see you next week.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
The Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from the Casa D18 Studios.
What's up, Internet? It's me, Stat Boy, and I'm proud to say it's... Thank you. It's episode 1 of Stat Boy Rants. First off, let me say thank you to all of you that put comments on the promo page. But why do I have twice as many dislikes as likes? I haven't even started yet. Give me a chance. See, I'm already getting laughs already. So,
Great way to get people to like you there, Uncle Mike. You can do it! Straight!
thank you. Questions will be given after the performance.
Say you bitch them, they're gonna bitch you.
Yeah, whatever. So, let's just run right into it. We're going to start with the first comment here that I got 4 days ago. That's what it says. Thurman Merman 69 says, quote, "You should do a Super Cena rant." Super Cena annoys the hell out of me. It's boring. Every time I see that goddamn shoulder block, proto bomb, you can't see me, 5-knuckle shuffle, attitude adjustment. I want to take out a 45 and blow my fucking head off. It's boring. It's annoying. I want to take... You know what? I'm going to take pills right now. You know what? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take pills and commit suicide. No, they're aspirin, folks. Come on.
That would piss Punk off not seeing it, to be fair.
Straight edge, yeah. I mean, come on, Cena. Do something different. You actually had a move that impressed me. A drop kick. Oh my God, that was one of the best drop kicks I ever saw in the business. Do more of that. Dirty box or something, or you know, go learn some Muay Thai, some MMA, something. You know, I mean, really, I don't want to see that John Cena is the superhero that can't be beat. He's immortal to everything, and God, shoulder block, wham. Kudos to you, CM Punk, for finally breaking up the 5 moves of doom. I actually applauded you for that. And then, of course, 5 minutes later, the stuff was continued. So, I mean, really, John, do something different. We know the fans love you for who you are, but come on. Really? Okay, what's next on the list? Let's see. The Mizark89 says, rant on the state of the WWE commentary team, because that D. Bryan is my #1 dog sucker. Okay, as far as the commentary team goes, I think Michael Cole is, you know, I'm done with him, because honestly, I love good old JR and Jerry Lawler. You know, they work well together. You know, JR's the straight man, King's the funny guy, he tells the jokes, JR laughs on command sometimes. I even liked it back in the day, though. I mean, when it was Vince, King, and let's go back even further, Rob Bartlett. When Rob... Ooh, okay, I got some heat on that one. But, you know, and then when Bobby Heenan came in, it was even better.
There we go.
Yes, good. And, of course, my biggest problem with Vince McMahon was whenever he was doing commentary, he would jump the gun. It's like, for example, let's use Shawn and Razor. Okay, they'd have their match. Shawn being the heel, Razor being the face. Let's just say, for shits and giggles, Shawn is kicking the crap out of Razor. hits a super kick. Here comes the referee. 1, 2. Here's Vince on commentary. A valiant effort by Razor. He kicked out! He kicked out! Oh my God! He kicked out! Or let's do the reverse. Razor hits the Razor's Edge on Shawn. 1, 2, and he got him. No, he kicked out. So Vince would jump the gun constantly, over and over and over again. Here's Bobby Heenan, like 2 steps away. He's actually watching a ball game. He's got a little TV there, and he's got a ball game, and he's going, "Oh, the Orioles are beating the Twins," and Vince is going like, "Huh?" It's like, Vince, it's baseball. It happens. Or during the Arkansas Hog Pen match between Hunter and Mark Henry.
Henry got one, dude.
Did I say Mark Henry?
Yeah, you got it.
First episode, first fuck up. Okay, we got that one out of the way.
It's the whitest guy and the blackest guy. I'm just throwing that out.
Okay, I'm allowed.
Right,
Henry Godwin.
Sheamus is the whitest guy in wrestling.
Yes, he is.
Well, back
Okay,
then it was
Henry Godwin. Anyway, Lawler stole Jeff Foxworthy's material. Okay, and he would say, like, if going to the bathroom at night requires heavy boots and a flashlight, you might be from Bitters, Arkansas. We all know the rule, or we all know the joke is you might be a redneck. So he's just throwing out jokes, and Vince is like, what? It's like, Vince, they're redneck jokes. You're in a hog pen match, and all this stuff. So, the commentary teams are okay. Like I said, get rid of Cole, and I'm wanting to say get rid of Booker T. Put Booker T back in the ring where he belongs. I mean, this, I don't know about this dog and all this. D. Bryan dog. Booker, you're not Randy Jackson. Dog belongs to him. And that's all I got to say on that one.
Was that a moment?
Yeah, that was a moment, actually. Yeah.
All right.
CM Punk 49 says, did you think the Punk Cena match, I'm assuming the one that just happened, needed something added to it like Last Man Standing or Iron Man? First off answer, I would say no. Not yet. If they have another match, I would say yes. As far as Last Man Standing or Iron Man, I kind of don't like Iron Man matches because they bore me. Last Man Standing would be good. I need some help on this one. Let's bring in my good buddy over here. Let me scoot over here.
I've been called into action.
Yes, you've been called into action. Come on over.
All right. Well, I had to put on the gimmick since my bald head doesn't look so bald no more. But I had to put on a different gimmick.
I like the hat. That's a good hat.
Thank you. It's Christmas in August and Casa D18.
Just get into the shot a little bit.
I'll
move over a little more for you.
That's okay. I take up a lot of space.
There you go. Go ahead.
All right.
You get his skinny fat ass in the shot.
Yeah, thank you, Hunter. All right. Honestly, Last Man Standing is fucking played out. It was played out 10 years ago when Hunter and Jericho did it, but at least they did it right. Iron Man matches bore you? How long have you been a fan of wrestling, Mikey?
It's going...
Stat boy, sorry. Kayfabe.
Yeah, well, it's going on 21 years.
21 years. And honestly, you can't be compelled by two great athletes going at it for an hour and getting near falls.
If they're going back and forth, yes. If it's like WrestleMania 12, no.
You weren't compelled by that match at all.
Only the last 10
Considering
minutes.
that, from what I have heard, you and your boy Bruce were arguing about that for like a year going into that thing.
That was 20 years ago. This is now. Let's keep going.
I'm just throwing that out there. Iron Man match between Punk and Cena. Well, granted, John Cena for an hour is like shooting fish in the barrel for 12 seconds.
We get the 15 moves of doom.
It's like. And to be fair, they've been broken up more lately, not just by Punk. Rey Mysterio did it too.
Oh, you forgot about that one.
But okay. I honestly think if Punk and Cena are going to continue their feud, it's going to be with Alberto thrown in since he is the undisputed WWE champion.
Okay.
So we might see triple threat at Night of Champions, but we haven't even seen Raw. Raw's not until tomorrow as of we film this. So
right.
We'll see what happens. What's your next topic?
Actually, it's about you.
I know.
Angle Slam V1 says, thoughts on Jeff Meacham's diet. Now, let me rant on this first.
That's okay. What are your thoughts on Jeff Meacham's diet?
Honestly, okay, this kind of threw me off.
Right?
Honestly, we go out to eat like normal people do, and the one thing
now it's being no more.
Yeah, the one thing this guy likes to eat, he loves a good bowl of soup.
I love me some soup. Chicken noodle soup. My grandma raised me on Campbell's chicken noodle. For a while, I was a skinny bastard. Then I hit 4th grade, and all of a sudden, shit went down. I don't know what happened in 4th grade.
I assume that he loves a good hamburger every once in a while.
Yeah.
You hate sour cream, or you just don't like it?
I would take sour cream and wipe it off the face of the earth like Hitler tried in 1945
if
I could.
Okay, but if you eat it, you won't get sick?
I won't get sick. I just don't like the crap.
Okay, and mushrooms?
Mushrooms are rubbery little flimsy pieces of thing that shouldn't be considered meat or food or whatever they're considered. They're not food. They are vegetables that grow in the ground. With the exception of things like corn and peas and green beans, I don't want shit coming out of the ground and going into my mouth. That's gross. But if y'all want to know the secret to losing 30 pounds, it's very simple. Move out of mama's home, because she's got home-cooked meals coming at you every night, 2 and 3 plates worth. Yeah, that's bad for anybody. Eat less. What a fucking concept. And walk more and drink water. But the biggest solution, and I have found this out in the last 4 months or so that I've actually lived in this casa, is the secret to a healthy lifestyle of eating is to get po. Don't have no money, can't buy food, can't eat food.
He's doing a good job. He actually has dropped the pant size.
30 pounds. I went from 46 to 44, baby. I went out, cameraman back here, cameraman number 2 back here, he and I went out and did my whole wardrobe change. We got this on clearance for $10 at Disney Store, fools.
There you go.
This is a Jack Skype sweatshirt. Sweatshirt. Wow, it's August. Sweatshirt. But here, okay. Enough about Jeff. Because I've been seeing, I don't know how many different comments about the same thing, and you were all, I don't want to do that. Okay, you need to rant on that goddamn stash.
Yes, I'll call out your names. I, the Mustache One,
there you go.
Rant on your mustache. Jester588, rant on your epic stash. A Squared 74, rant on that damn mustache dude.
Damn.
It's fucking Matt, dude. Aren't you Magnum PI? You can take care of Laughing Boy over there.
Stall Joey's gimmick.
Yeah, really. All right. It's been called the Caterpillar. It's been called Moss. It's been called that ugly piece of hair under your lip. It's been called everything under God's green sun. I've had this bad boy since after high school. I did get rid of it once. And that was before I started working at the House of Mouse.
And yours has been called a 70s porn star stash.
And it's been called a 70s porn star mash. It's Matt, the porn star stash. Porn star mash?
What the movie were you watching?
Hey,
it's a monster mash.
It's a monster mash. Yeah, really. It goes out of control. I get yelled at it at work. You need to cut that thing down a bit. If it goes crazy, you know. But it's my trademark. It's my security blanket. It's me, you know. I'm very stubborn. I'm very lazy. I take care of it when I need to. Otherwise, it just goes out of control.
We need to throw it in the football pool. If you lose so many games, you need to shave that thing bald.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
The mustache stays. He's talking about my football pool. Well, I'll get to that in the plugs in a couple of minutes. But, you know, it is who I am. I mean, I got rid of it once. I didn't like the way I looked. I looked uglier than I already look now.
Bologna, cheese, and crackers.
And self-pity's fail.
Yes. And like I said, you know, I even once went up to Joey Ryan and I say, hey, I give better mustache rides than you. So, you know, it's a dueling thing.
This is Jeff Meacham walking off.
Bye, Jeff. Nice knowing you. So, we're going to wrap it up now.
Aaron's dead.
Aaron's dead?
Aaron's dead.
Yeah, okay. So let me
get seizuring in his death throes, but he's dead.
I don't even know if I should give you a plug right now, but I probably will. Watch Double Down with Double A. He's got his show up. Talk Wrestling's coming up. Oh, Talk Wrestling's dead.
Whoa!
Hold on, let me read that. Stay away from Talk Wrestling. It's bad for you. There, see, I redeemed myself.
He's a good step boy.
He's a good step boy.
Renegade's coming up. We don't know where that's going to go. Dad's is coming up.
Plug the name of my show, please. After the bell.
After the bell.
It's only the #1 show on the channel right now, asshole, but that's okay.
Okay, fine. And like I said with my football thing, get me on Facebook. We got a little football contest. All you got to do is pick the winners of the games. It's really simple. It's really easy. You got to friend me. You got to go to the page and like the page. Other than that,
because Mikey needs friends. Friend Mikey, because Mikey needs friends.
I've got 200 friends, okay? I want to see at least 500 views on this thing. Keep the positive comments coming. To the negative people, fuck off. You don't know me. What do you want?
Just like
you don't know me.
Just like.
Anyway, send in the comments. I'll keep ranting as long as I keep good comments coming in. Episode 1 is over and done, and Stat Boy is out.